Module 5, we're going to do some modifications to the cube we made in the previous module. So you can sort of go back to that stage. You can also, at this point, know that it's possible to copy and paste existing objects. So if we wanted to grab this entire cube, there's two main ways you can do it. You can either drag a field over that area, and when you let go, it will select all the pieces. But note that the direction in which you do this dragged field matters. If you drag from the left to the right, it's only going to grab complete objects within the region. Whereas if you drag from the right to the left, it's going to grab the full object of anything that happens to be in this region at the moment. So what's going to be key here is that you will actually grab potentially this entire field we're working in. Even if you were to, for example, if we looked at this character here, even if you were to just grab her foot from the right to the left, it would actually grab the entire character. Whereas if you went from the left to the right, it would grab nothing at all because you haven't grabbed the complete object. Let's go back to the cube, and you'll notice that from the right to the left, you might only be grabbing some of the lines and not all the surfaces or lines. But you can be very confident, depending, of course, on which way you're viewing, on using one or the other forms of the region tool. A much simpler way to grab a volume, especially one in which you can manipulate all the different objects, is to triple click. Now, if you double click on the surface, you'll grab the surface and its adjacent lines, its bounding lines. If you triple click, it will grab everything that's sort of connected in as a volume. So with triple click right now, then you can copy and paste using just as you would copy and paste files on your computer. And it automatically allows you to place a copy anywhere else in the plane. So that's it's just an important tip to keep in mind. Let's assume you have one. Let's now sort of explore this shape a little bit more. Notice that you can manipulate individual objects by selecting them. And as we did before, you can delete individual pieces. If we were to delete one of the surfaces, you'll notice, in fact, that it's completely hollow inside. So the important key is that when you use the push and pull tool, you did not create a solid mass. You created a shell of a mass. And that means that inside is theoretically open space. If we go back to it being a full cube, and now we removed one of the lines, you'll remove both that line and the two surfaces that it was bounding. Let's just remove one of the sides closest to the character. Now let's look at the move tool. The move tool looks like 4 different arrows. The shortcut is the M key. And from here, you'll notice that as you're going over surfaces, they again seem to highlight, just like with the push-pull tool, as if you're about to select them. So you have that choice at the start. You can select a plane, a line. You can even select a node. And as soon as you select them, then they will start to adapt in different ways. In fact, they will adapt as if you were moving them with a line vector. So let's illustrate this on the side with just a simple line or simple square. If you were to select that entire square, and what you typically want to do is select the object first using the typical cursor tool, and then you're going to switch to the move command from there, having already selected that object. Now, what you're going to do is specify a vector direction. And what you're going to have to do is start with a reference point. But of course, that's arbitrary because vectors can start from anywhere. As long as they have the right magnitude or direction, you're going to be making the right move. So let's try that right now. We can start from any point, even outside of the shape. But typically, you'll sort of know how you want to move from a given part of the shape. So let's just go from a corner. And as soon as you click the first time, it now looks as if you've picked up the shape by the corner and you're going to plop it somewhere else. And you'll also notice a dashed line from where you started that command, which looks a lot like the line tool. So again, this can align to the red, the green, the blue using those arrow keys. Selected. And think of it exactly like a line command, which also means that you can type in the dimensions you want. So let's say we wanted to move this square 5 feet in the green axis, then you would move in that direction, type in 5 feet, enter, and you've moved the object that far. You can also, at this point, move your object knowing both the start and end points as a reference to something already in the plane. So let's say we grabbed a corner and wanted to move it over to the origin where the character is standing. And you simply think of as if you were to pinch this corner and then place it at a different corner or a different part of the screen. That's a way to sort of, once you've got a lot of objects in the space, you might not even be typing in dimensions. You might just be snapping pieces to pieces. Go back to where we were. Notice that we've been selecting the entire object before we did the move command. What if you'd only selected a line and then you use the move command? And in fact, this is also possible, but you'll notice that only the line and everything that it's immediately connected to is moving. The other part of this, the rectangle, specifically the side opposite, seems like it's stuck. And you can go all the way around here, and you'll notice that no matter what you do, you can't affect that other line. This will be true of any shape. You can only move what's immediately been affected or manipulated. Everything else will be stuck to the environment. So from this point, we can basically think like we're reducing the width of the shape. And you can use this manipulation even directly from the move command if you had nothing selected. You just hover over that given line, and then you're immediately manipulating that. You can see. You can even grab a corner, a point, and you'll notice that what's happening is that the other 3 points are stuck. They weren't directly affected by the first click. The 2 lines are affected, and then as a result, the entire shape is affected. So this can get you into your trapezoids and into your really interesting shapes. So let's apply this idea to the cube. Let's grab one of these corners. You're going to select once. And from here, you have many pieces changing, but also many stuck. And of course, you can snap to anything else you see on the screen. But let's just align to the up and down direction by clicking up or down on the arrow key. Let's head this piece up as if we were to create a slope to the roof. Switch over to the keyboard, type in 1 foot. You've created a interesting roof shape now. And of course, you can go back and modify an entire line to create a really shed roof. And you can do pretty much anything you want at this point with this move command. Just knowing that you especially want to make sure you know your dimensions and you know which direction you're going. You typically want to align to the blue, green, or red, because as you can tell, things start to get quite complicated here. Now let's do one more thing to this modified cube. Let's start drawing some other shapes on an existing surface, and let's delete those as well. So let's make what appears to be a door. So if we wanted to make a 3 foot by 7 foot door on the side of the face, actually make it just a 1 foot by 2 foot door. It'll be a hobbit house. And you're going to switch to the line tool. Let's say we wanted to make that shape just 6 inches from the corner here. It's going to be hard to know arbitrarily where that is to start that first point. Typically, we've just been plotting the first point anywhere. But if you know that the corner of this new shape wants to be exactly 6 inches from this corner, what you can do is create a guideline. In a way, a line that won't actually show up, but it will help you create a node, one of these green nodes, exactly where you want to start your next operation. So we're going to basically make a line starting from the corner, going 6 inches along this existing line, and we're going to, in effect, split up the existing line. So I've clicked once. I now have that first sticky step, and I'm going to head in the direction of this line. Here we can pretty confidently, without even hitting the right key, just snap onto the existing edge, and then release our mouse, go to the keyboard, and type in 6 inches, enter. Now, it looks like nothing happened, but if you sort of hover along this edge, you'll notice that somewhere you've created a green. From there, you can switch to the rectangle tool, and you can actually now make a rectangle from that point on this surface. You can also, of course, do it still on the ground plane, but notice that it intuitively knows you might want to make it on this upward space. From here, you're going to head in the quadrant you want to go to. And notice that sometimes it's hard to tell, which of the two inputs you're going to make is going to be the width or the length. Of course, that's entirely up to you. What I tend to do is I'll create a really, really skinny virtual rectangle sort of in this transition period. I'll just look down at what the numbers look like on the bottom, and it'll be evident immediately which the software happened to treat as the first input and the second input. You can see right now it looks like something like 5 feet by 2 inches. And so clearly, if I'm going to input my own rectangle, the first number I'm going to input is going to be the height. And then the second is going to be the width. Of course, those are my own definitions here. So I'm going to go ahead and make that, what did we say, 2 foot by 1 foot door. So if I want it to be 2 feet high, I'm going to type in 2 feet, 1 foot, enter. And there's the door. And let's say we wanted to make a window from here. And so basically, the shape we're going to create is not going to touch any existing line. It's just going to be within the surface. We still want to create a guideline, and we simply will delete that line in the future. Let's say we wanted the window to start from this corner and be 6 inches away. So I'm just going to create a line, move it in the red direction. I can align at this point. And then I'm going to type in 6 inches. Oops. One more time. Let's say we wanted the window to also start 6 inches up. So I'm going to align the blue axis at this point. And then type in 6. Oops. And if I want to terminate this process, I can click Escape. I can also click on the arrow tool, or I can go straight to the next tool I want to use, which might be the rectangle tool. So from here, we're going to make a window going in that direction. Let's make it 2 feet by 2 feet. And from here, since we've made the shape we wanted to make, we can go back, use the arrow command, and remove the two existing guidelines since they don't want to be part of the final model. So from here, we can delete the inside and make it sort of like a window. And then we can come down to this door, delete the face of the door as well.